Deleted session, October 11, 1978. Good evening. Remarks. It has been said that when the imagination and the will are in conflict, then the imagination will always win. It might be a good idea to examine that statement, for in the truest sense of human motivation, the fact is that despite all appearances to the contrary, the imagination and the will are never in conflict. However scandalous or unrealistic this proposition sounds, the fact is that people do not will a specific outcome of events while their imaginations vividly portray the opposing outcome. Some of the reasons for such activities are sketched in our new book. But what you have is a learned pattern of face-saving self-deception and nefarious, Ram noted with amusement, said techniques taught by parents to children. So often you pretend to want one thing, and you may say that you will it to happen, perhaps because what you really want is unacceptable, or so you have been taught. It is demeaning or evil or whatever, so in many cases, people's true motives escape them. It is very important to know what you want. You may discard or dismiss what you want as unworthy, evil, but you must first be aware of your motives. This sounds quite simplistic, and yet it is quite practically true. But you have people professing to desire wealth, while obviously doing everything possible to ensure the continuance of poverty. They may state their purpose as often as they wish, and yet their imaginations carry vivid pictures of future deprivation. So it seems in such cases that the will and the imagination are in conflict. Such individuals, however, want poverty. They use both will and imagination to seek their goal. They may think that poverty is demeaning, or humiliating, or frightening, yet want it despite those conditions for other reasons that may or may not have anything to do with money per se. So the question in such a case is, of course, why do I want to be poor? There is nothing wrong with poverty or morally reprehensible, but people who write you, for example, saying, I want to make good money, but all my jobs are innocuous, or I have none, are not facing the fact that for the time being, at least, they want poverty. The imagination usually gives you a pretty good picture of what you really want. It usually escapes all of your attempts to cull it, to reason away its pictures. It is a mirror of your wants, and it is also the mirror of your will, for in it you see, even if afterward you say that its pictures are unbidden or against your conscious intent. Imagination and will working together are miracle makers because self-deception does not stand between them. All of my comments for Ruber apply to the specific situation and the time they are given. An important point. Lately, Ruber decided, using his will, to work to whatever degree possible. That desire was clear-cut, immediately without trying, at different times. His imagination came up with different pictures to implement the desire, the table, the cupboard. Today, he almost walked 3 times. Imaginatively, he did walk 3 times. The body immediately responded, so that he wanted to walk more. Circulation was increased. He wants to walk. Keep that desire clear in a creature fashion. Do not tag onto it issues about television or lectures or whatever. Give us a moment. Again, you have a joint reality in all aspects. Apply what I said about wealth to health. The creative abilities are always released when the will and the imagination are together in whatever area. Your willingness to help Ruber work, your encouragement, these are all important. But the most important issue is the unity, in practical terms, of imagination and will, and the generation of creative ability in health terms that can be sparked. That is enough for now. When we return to our ordinary schedule, I will more than keep you busy, but the unknown reality applies in such cases, so that unknown motives can become known and dealt with. It is in its way perfectly all right to be frightened to the world. Under certain conditions, it may be a mark of sanity, but it is highly self-defeating to put yourself in a position where you cannot go out into the world, or more importantly, where you cannot navigate as a creature. Ruber thinks it is beneath him to be frightened of the world, so it is easier to pretend you cannot go out in it than to feel you are a coward, which in your society is the interpretation placed upon such feelings. If Ruber does not want a public life, that is not cowardice, but as private people and as creatures, you must value your freedom of motion and your connections with the natural world of the seasons. Ruber does not need to feel that he would naturally, left alone, go out into the world, into the arena, and convince the world of our ideas, or think that with his energy unimpeded, that would be part of his nature mission. That is not so. Nor would he be necessarily more fulfilled in that role, and it is that imagined, frightening role against which he pushes and then retreats. He is not meant to be that kind of person. He is good with people and with communication, but very much as a sideline and not as a main endeavor. There is no need for him to feel cowardly or inferior for not living up to that role. End of station. Ralph said, "Do you want to say something about the voice?" They said, "I cannot say anything simply about the voice." Ralph said, "I don't care," meaning that I had the time. They said, "Give us a moment." The voice has artistic pretensions. It is read by the professional nonconformists. To read it is a badge of individuality in the city. It is sardonic, coolly critical, hip, righteous for the underdog, and with all of this a carrier now and then for new ideas of format for initiators. It is intellectual, yet carries the underlying thrust of emotional hope. The distorted voice of the beleaguered, weary, ironic idealist. This means, of course, that deeply felt hope must be sardonically examined. That deeply buried faith must be stated with parried phrases, and to that extent, the paper speaks for a concentrated portion of your population, so that our Jean Pot, who is a point at heart, must appear in the slightly worn cloak of the skeptic. He must show that for all of his youth, he is world-weary, not easily taken in, that he is objective, and only then can he allow his creative abilities to flow. But he must dress his dreams in fashionable cynicism, while all the time trying to hold them safely clear, and gracefully allows some faith, some hope, to show in an uncontested manner. Now, innovators are not conformists. Creative people do not fit into your society. So often they will indeed appear as the eccentrics, the disinherited, the mad, the upset, or whatever, because their desires and intents, their imaginations and their wills, are not satisfied by the tenets or organizations of the conventional world. They are trying things that other people will not try, being creative in whatever area is open to them. So that often the creativity itself has a strained or even grotesque air. Some people who write you are like that. They are looking for a rational pattern large enough to contain and explain and focus their own misunderstood creativity. The Village Voice is probably read by more creative young people and more people in the arts than any other New York paper. To those people, the new journalism is transparent. They see it as the current necessary way to write in things, but most of them unconsciously understand the reasons behind the techniques, as I explained them earlier. Ideas are used in astounding fashions by creative people, and so many who read the article will, in their own way, use it as highly creative material. You both think that Rupert's position is a poor one in society, that people regard mediums as spooked or weird. Those beliefs helped give you your photographs, because while you don't like the idea, you believe it. Poet and the photographer, however, believe the same, only they regard spookiness and strangeness as highly commendable qualities that contrast with what they think of as the blandness, and strangeness as highly commendable qualities that contrast with what they think of as the blandness of the common man. End of station. Ross said, "Thank you." They said, "And a fond good evening." They said the same to you.